we're both in the throes of 15, 16-year-old
Yes.
stuff.
Oh my
So
God.
lots of great things to talk about. My son's going to be 15 next month.
My son is going to be 16 in November, and I'm just like,
Actually, I'm
okay.
giving him an extra year. He's going to be 15 next month. Sorry. He's going to be 15 next month. See, I'm already getting him out of here.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
but it's just like, wow, 15?
It goes so fast. And it's like, I have a whole, like, I keep thinking about, I know this is really bad, but I keep thinking about the time left. Like, I'm like, oh, there's 2 more summers. Like, like, because summer is like a great time where the kids are home all the time. And I'm like, there's going to be a summer where he's like rushing to get to college. And like, it's just teenage. It's a different level of
It
like,
is, but I
yeah,
think it is the same. Like it's
right.
like this is coming to an end in this way. In this
Yeah.
way, it's never going to be the same. So I'm fully with you. Like what are we've been having a ball just trying to soak it all in. We
Right.
went to visit some colleges. I'm like,
Oh my
this is
gosh. This is it.
this is really happening. It just feels like it got really serious
Yes.
really fast. Like high
Right.
school it just feels really serious.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like now the conversations are shifting, right? Like because I feel like he's not an adult, but it's like we're having more adult like conversations, right, at
Yes.
this point. And so it's great and wonderful because I feel like I want to have these experiences, but I'm also sometimes going into it like I don't know what I'm talking like I'm a child. What do you think?
That part right there, like I'm really the grown up.
Right.
Like I don't know the answers to these questions. I'm figuring it out as I go. But
Figuring it out.
man,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
But that's like the perfect, right? Perfect like statement that you said because it's like we're as moms are constantly figuring it out, right? No
Yeah.
matter how prepared you think you read all the books and all the things, right, before pregnancy and you get excited about it and then motherhood gets here and you're like, I'm figuring it out. Like,
Yeah. Everything things change and
right.
like and these kids are not us. Like they're their own people with their own things. They're in a totally different type of world. And it is just, yeah, we're all figuring it out.
Yeah, yeah. Different challenges at different stages, right?
Hmm.
As they grow up. And this is going to lead me right to our topic, right? In terms of like beyond postpartum, right? And we're talking about mental health beyond that period because
Hmm.
moms are still, we're having this conversation right now. We're still having these conversations about being anxious, about our mental health beyond that postpartum window, right? And so I'm thinking about as children get older, as we look at our sons, our boys, like growing up, and things change for us too. And I'm just curious, like the shifts that you've seen in yourself over the years, in either just you or your mental health.
Yeah, I feel like the that's a great question. I feel like it's just like I said, I mentioned before, I feel like it just got more serious.
Right,
And so, with that comes more anxiety. I wouldn't describe myself as like an anxious person, but
right,
it's just like the maybe urgent. It feels very urgent. Like I'm preparing him, like he's really in the real world. Like he's going out and hanging with friends. And so, like, he's doing different things as a young black kid. He's losing that baby face. He's got a deep voice. And so the anxiety, I don't think I had a lot of anxiety when he was a baby, but now as a teenager in the world and interacting with so many other people, I think that is the big shift. Is like it's just there's so many things, and while he's navigating all these things, you got to really stay cool because
right.
you want them to explore and to do things. And I don't want to be that parent that the mom that I'm seeing now that may be like I just don't want them to leave, and then they stay forever and then they're mad. I want him to grow and grow, so I got to get
Right.
myself together because this is when I was younger, we were going to hang out the mall, we were taking the bus, we were doing
Yeah.
different things. And so like even though I want to be like, ugh, I have to like let it go.
Yes, like as you talk about that, I'm thinking about experiences of my kids. Like we just moved back from Georgia to Jersey,
Hmm.
and the type of like lifestyle in Georgia is completely different than what it's been like here in Jersey, especially
Mhm.
in terms of the independence that my
Yes.
kids have now that I
Mhm.
had growing up. Like I was taking the bus like from Harlem to like all the way downtown by myself at like 13, you know what I mean? And like I grew up in that environment. And so I have a little bit of anxiety of like, okay, like go to the store by yourself. And
Mhm.
like what's that going to be like? And I think it's compounded by the fact that this generation has so much access to information that we didn't, and so it perpetuates more fear in them, what they're seeing on social media, and then we hear all these stories, which is, I think it's just like a shifting thing that's
Mhm.
happening all the time. But I think that like as motherhood goes, the worry or the anxious or the anxiety that we feel just changes into something else, because we're moms and we're always gonna be loving and thinking about our kids.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's really important to, luckily for me, like I feel like, talking with you, talking with my village, like I dropped that anxiety and those worries there because I also want to build his confidence. And like
Yes.
we have actually been really, really good moms. We are rocking this things out. And now it's time for our kids to put those things into practice.
Yeah.
You need to take the bus and miss your stop so you can remember to pay attention.
Hello.
You can go hang out with your friends and spend your own money and and so now it's time to practice because we're raising them to be adults one day. And so, really for me, I think the shift has been just trying to not project my own stuff
Right.
onto his opportunities and things he wants to do to hold him back. Some of it is going to look a little fuzzy. I
Yeah.
might not agree. We're very different. But this is his experience. And so I've been really trying to lean into that and take my anxieties to my support to the Lord. I'm a
Yes.
prayer. I'm gonna pray about my baby,
Right.
and so I think that has been helped me to be really grounded because it is different. But I don't want to be like no, no, no,
Yeah.
because then he's not gonna be able to flourish and shine.
Yes, and you're like talking about such an important part of like our children being mirrors and the model and modeling that behavior. Like we don't want to bring that anxiety into their narrative, right? Like we want
Mhm.
to push them. I keep thinking about my kids going away to college, and I'm like, yes, do that. Live in the dorm, go study abroad, like go away, like live your life. And I think that like you were just talking about kind of the shift. Did you notice any identity shifts in yourself or emotional shifts in yourself or your clients, right? Like you work with moms, you work with women in
Mhm.
your practice, right? Like what are some of the things that you notice women coming to you and saying about their identity and the shifts that they have in motherhood?
Yeah, I think amongst clients, I think a lot of moms are rethinking about who they are at this age and stage with their
Right.
children. It can be very all consuming. And then it's like, wow, who am I? I think last night you mentioned, like, what makes you happy and how so many people can't answer that.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is like, and now that our kids are older, we have more, they need us in a different way. And so it frees up a lot of extra time and, who are you? And so I think a lot of moms are figuring that out. For me personally, one thing, and I've been thinking about this since I watched you guys last night, I think I did a really good job of keeping my identity separate from motherhood from the beginning. Like I knew from a young age who I wanted to be, what I wanted to do. While some of those things have shifted, when I had my son, I still went to my book club. He plays sports. If a game fell on a book club day, like I'm going to my book club. I made sure that, I stayed connected with my college sorority sisters. And so I made a point to make sure that he saw me like living
Right.
life and taking care of myself. We actually started going to the gym together when he was like too young to go by himself. And so just I feel like I kept my identity and it wasn't so wrapped into motherhood in that way, which has been really helpful. And I know that's helped me working with moms really thinking about who they are in this season. So when it's like, what do you do for fun? I'm like, I'm going to go find a bookstore. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to do that. And like some people, and I think as Black women, sometimes we don't get a chance to think about that. So
Right.
I'm grateful that I've just always been that kind of free spirit in that way. I also only have my son is an only child, so after a while we go and both go to our separate corners.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, I feel like I'm really grounded in who I am. I'm actually excited and nervous. Like I'm at the end of the road. Like I did
Mhm.
it. I did this thing in this way. Like right, we'll be moms for forever. But I'm like, I did it.
Yeah.
He's supposed to go and grow. And so I'm like really excited for that. You know, obviously nervous for all the things, but I feel like I'm more excited than nervous because
Yeah.
this is what's supposed to happen.
Yes.
You
And
know?
like you did it, right? It's like it's congratulations, graduation for you too, right? Like in
Mm-hmm.
that moment. And I love that one of the things that you said is like the intention behind what you're
Mm-hmm.
doing, like going into motherhood with the intention not to lose yourself. And sometimes when I'm sitting with women and we're talking about our stories and we're talking about identity shifts, one of the things I often ask them is like, if you had to name the next chapter of your life, right? If we look at our lives as a narrative, like what would the next chapter be called for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people kind of similar to that question yesterday was like, who am I? A lot of people like, I don't know what it would be called because I'm stuck, right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
feeling stuck in the fact that like I don't know. And
Yeah.
so I like what you're saying about helping them try to identify what that is in the work that you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes moms aren't going into it with that intention, right? And so it's important that we talk to the moms that are soon to be moms to kind of keep that going.
Yeah.
But I think that like we also see so many challenges about the them not knowing and then
Mm-hmm.
coming in the room and us having that conversation. And so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just it's and I it's just so easy to lose yourself in that. And one of the things I was thinking about in our talk today is like that's why you need community and support,
Hmm.
because that's how you don't get lost. You got to have like your own thing. You got to have your moms. Like in my book club, like we all have a wide range of children. We have high school, we have middle school, we have younger kids, we have kindergarten, right? And so it's
Right.
like talking to other moms, figuring out, okay, what's normal, what's not normal, but also women to check in with. And I think, isolation is one of the biggest challenges. I think when I think
Mm.
beyond postpartum, sometimes we get in our little bubble and it's like, how do you start to re-engage or find new community?
Right.
Got to
Right.
be willing to take some risks to put yourself out there because we need our sister friends. That's the only way we're going to survive and actually like get beyond surviving and really thrive in motherhood. And like
Right.
that is something that I see more and more, that I feel like that feeds into you being able to have an interest or a hobby or something that you're looking forward to. You can't do that in isolation.
Yeah, like we heal in community, right? Like that is
Hmm.
how we heal. And I love that you said community, and there's so many ways to find community, right? Like whether it be online in your group chat, like
Right.
finding a group chat where you can be honest and real with what's
Hmm.
going on with you, where there's no judgment, right?
Yeah.
There's so many places to kind of find that. And like you said, I encourage moms to just like step out there and
Hmm.
ask questions, right? Like if you go to the park, like it might seem scary, but like you might have a similarity, right? Your kids could be the same
Hmm.
age. Like just being open to new ideas and being open to accepting the village too, right? Like
Yeah.
when we're talking about Black mothers, right, and Black women in general, for a lot of us, like we were raised to kind of be strong and resilient and like I could do it all by myself, hyper independent. And so accepting that village or that support can be really hard, but like you said, be open to the opportunity. Yeah.
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 Yeah. And like, we're not meant to do life alone. Nobody that is really in the mom trenches, we're not out here judging you. We're all figuring it out. And so, I think too, we actually can be supported and not be balls of anxiety and balls of stress. And I think some of us are so used to that feeling. It's like when it's gone, like you could do motherhood and not be stressed out all the time.
Yeah.
There are things that you could do to make you less anxious. And so I think, if you got support in certain areas, it could be easier. And I just think the narrative sometimes is just that, oh, it's got to be so hard, it's got to be this. And like, there are challenges, but also, and there are challenges, and you can still have some fun, you can still enjoy your life and take care of
Mhm.
yourself.
Yeah. Like we hold so many titles or I pieces or parts of ourselves, right? Like and momming, motherhood is a piece of that. And there's still so much of the pie. I don't know why I'm
Mhm.
thinking of pie. There's so much slices left in the pie of
Yeah.
you and your identity. So like explore those, love on those, give those attention to. Like it all
Hmm.
needs to be watered
Yeah.
and in every season, you
Hmm.
know?
Yeah. And want to know what's crazy is these are the things the moms are telling their children.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, your kids do half of what you say and everything that you do. So
Yeah.
unless you're out here doing something, they're just listening. You just sounding like Charlie Brown. Well, womp, womp.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you trying new things? I was thinking about what your daughter said to you about pursuing some of your goals. Like, we're asking them to take risk and do this and, and
Mm-hmm.
like, are you doing some of those things too? And so even for me, I know I have to push myself sometimes because there are certain things that I'm just like, no, I don't want to do that, but I know that my son is watching me,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's like if I'm telling him, take care of yourself, he has to see me taking care of myself.
Right.
He's always seen me amongst my book club, amongst my girlfriends, and so he knows that that's important. And so I think like they do what they see us do.
Yeah. Yeah. We gotta model it in a way that that they can be the next also like
Hmm.
generation breaker or whatever. Like, not everybody's story is the same, but like you said, if you're carrying that, if you're doing that, they will do that, and then subsequently it will continue
Yeah.
for the people around them and their families as well.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Why do you think that why do you think that there's still so many challenges in terms of like the mental health that we see across the women that come in your room or that you talk with? Like what may be some of the major things that you're hearing that come up?
Yeah, I think a big thing is I think everybody thinks that, going back to support, that they're supposed to be able to do everything by themselves perfectly,
Mm-hmm.
and if I have to get help, that says something about me. I could get a babysitter and go out sometime, but then, I'm spending time away from my kids, or, maybe I could get medication support to better manage my anxiety or depression, but, I don't want to take pills. And like, we pick the hard way a lot of times. And
Right.
if it's easier, like you must be doing something wrong. And so I think, again, there's just this idea that, motherhood is this long suffering thing, and again, there are challenges, but like we need to let that go. And like you can be a mom, enjoy your life, enjoy your children, and also enjoy your life as a woman. You're still a woman who might want to go dancing, who might want to get dressed up, and so what support do you need to be able to do that? How can you make your life easier? I was just saying that to someone today. What would make your life easier the rest of the week? Whether
Yeah.
it is outsourcing the laundry, meal prepping in a different way, getting a babysitter, getting some help, inviting your partner in more, releasing some control in some areas so that because you're holding so tightly to some things that really are not yours to hold on to.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Like it's okay to put some things down.
Hmm.
Right. I think this Erica Badu bag lady, right? Like
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
gonna hurt yourself. You keep carrying all these bags, you gotta put something down.
Yes.
Right? Like
Yes.
in the great words of her. But like it all what I'm hearing is that you're saying like it really like is coming down to like accepting the support and having a village and being in communities where whether it's like other moms or just in your household, right? Your
Yeah.
helpmate, your neighbor down the block that could, watch your kid for 5 minutes while you take a shower,
Hmm.
or something like that. But like I agree. Like I was also just talking to someone earlier, and I was asking them like, what do you think would be the most like valuable to you, right? Like in this moment, and she's like, I really just want to explore new things, right?
Hmm.
And I don't have anybody to like to watch my kid. And I'm like, it's like, I want to be able to do something, but I don't have the support. I
Got
want
it.
to be able to shift my identity, and I want to be able to try new things, but I don't have the support. So to your point, it's like, it's the constant of needing support and having to put things down in motherhood so that you can build yourself up.
Yeah. And this is where I think we got to get creative. There's an awesome mom entrepreneur in my town. She owns a candle shop, and some moms that she was connected with, they all, on their kid-free weekends, they would get together and do things. I think we got to get creative with our community. And if you don't have a kid-free weekend, I encourage you to do things, new things with your children,
Mm,
that you can do alongside of them where they're learning something new, you're doing something new. There's lots of really awesome groups. Some of the groups, I know the Black Girl Walking Club, they do a lot of things without children. There are groups that do things alongside. And I think we just have to come back to kind of that barter system. I know there's a
yeah.
single mom somewhere. Can
Mm,
y'all swap a Monday or a Thursday night? Like, how can we get a little bit more creative so we can work within the constraints that are very real, right? I'm not going to pretend that you don't have have a village and you really don't. How
right.
can we get you one? And I think, us embracing each other more in that way could be really, really helpful. Like when I think about when I was growing up, like my grandma was like always home when I got home from school. I could go, there was somebody around, and I feel like our
Yeah.
families are a little more spread out, but like our friends, our community, we're not. We just have to get a little bit more creative and be open to that instead of just being defeated like, oh, I just can't do it. You can, it just has to look different. And how can we use what's around you?
Yeah, yeah. You just like sparked something for me in terms of my growth growing up. There was always an adult like around. Like you said, I would come home from school, I'd be hanging out with my uncle, all the cousins would be there, and we'd be
Hmm.
playing games together, or like we'll be outside, like just kind of like in community all the time. And it's like, we can find community in digital spaces. And I think that those are very valuable to connect people. But there also is something about building that connection and having a community that's like right here that you can be able to like touch and feel. And I'm
Yeah.
reminded of my childhood because I just remember always being surrounded by love all the time. Like my
Mhm.
mom was working two jobs and here or there in school, whatever, and someone was around and I
Yeah.
felt safe, like, and I think that like in order to give our children that, when you are spread apart is the intention, and building your own family, right? Like
Yeah.
your chosen family.
Your chosen family. And I think, a lot of us have scars from, things that were harmful that happened to us. But I also think a little bit is, we've just created this fear of
Hmm.
letting our kids go to people's houses, and rightly so sometimes, but like we're doing it to a point where it's like robbing us of real community. Like, I babysat when I was a teenager. Why aren't these older kids watching some of these little kids for an hour or two so you
Right.
could go out and go for a walk,
Mhm.
And so I think getting creative in that way, because the chosen family is there if you're looking for it, for
Yeah,
sure.
it is. So as we were talking earlier about like growing, right? Our children growing up and us
Mhm.
growing through motherhood as well. I'm thinking about the school age moms, the
Mhm.
moms at the like college or beyond, right?
Mhm.
And we're thinking like there are moms who like go through a depression when their children leave the house, right? I see
Mhm.
that a lot, right? Moms coming to me like, okay, my kid's gone, like, and
Mhm.
like I have to live with my partner and I don't really like them, or I don't really like anything, and so they're going through this shift that we were talking about that continues to happen over time. Do you see that kind of experience coming in where there's kind of, like through the changes of the child, a mom is maybe struggling as well?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And you know what I think it is I don't know if it could be us, but I feel like, I don't want to call it an addiction, but we are addicted to like caring for people. Like I got to be
Mm-hmm.
doing something for somebody else. And sometimes I think, that distracts us from having to
Mm-hmm.
care about ourselves. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like now you could go to the gym. You don't got to take him to practice. You don't got to do drop off and pick up. So what is the excuse for you not caring for yourself? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
you thought you didn't have time to read. You thought you didn't have time to think about a hobby. And maybe you didn't, because y'all got more than one kid. So maybe you don't.
Right.
But I just think that like sometimes we, overdo things, we overperform, we over, but it's a distraction from the goals you want to work on, the things you said you were going to do. And now you have this time and it's like, oh, I'm so depressed that my kid is gone. Yes, there
Mm-hmm.
are depressive elements to that. And also, what's the opportunity for you?
Yeah.
There's an opportunity for you there too to do something else. And I think, that's where we have to really just pause and check ourselves, because again, we know they're gonna go. That's the whole point. Because if they were staying, we might be a little mad. And
Yeah.
so I think that we have to really, when we're so hyper focused on the kids, it's like, but what about yourself are you neglecting?
Mm-hmm.
When's
Mm-hmm.
the last time you've been to the doctor? When's the last time you sat down with a coloring book because that's what you like, or wrote because you're a writer? Creators got to create, writers got to
Right.
write. And so I think sometimes it becomes a distraction. And so I always encourage people to add balance, thinking about, okay, what does connection look like with your child in this season that they're older, that they're maybe in college and leaving? Where's the opportunity for you guys to stay connected in a particular way that's healthy?
Right.
And also, what do you want to do for
Mm-hmm.
yourself?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And as you were saying that, I was thinking about how when you're preparing, right? Preparing
Hmm.
beforehand, right? And start, like you said, and starting to like find the things that bring you joy and like have those joys alongside motherhood, alongside the challenges that may come up. Like joy and challenges can both exist.
Hmm.
And so I think that like one of the things that I'm thinking about for me in particular, and I hate to like put my mom on blast, but like I was telling her literally earlier today that like there are no wins when she doesn't put herself before other people,
Hmm.
because when she is losing, oxygen, right, like no one else can, like what are we going to do if
Hmm.
she's not taking care of herself? And I'm like always trying to hit on the home, like hit home for her. She's of another generation where backpack, doing it with, do what you got to do, always doing this for the kids. And I'm like, no, mom, like, do for you. Like, go
Hmm.
out, have fun, and like, but also take care of yourself, like, in a
Yeah.
way that, like, shows you that you love yourself. And
Hmm.
that should continue. I would love for every mom to be doing that right now. But also, when the kids are gone, that needs to continue. That nurturing of yourself and mothering yourself needs to be happening while they're at home and when they're gone.
Yeah, and I think it just also again makes the experience more enjoyable. When you're
Yeah.
taking, you could be doing all the things with your kid right now, checking off all the boxes, but you're mad, you're tired, you're not actually having fun. And it's like, imagine if you took care of yourself first, then when it's time for you to go, you're there, you're really present, you can be in the moment. And I think it all just feeds into each other. And we have to remember that. Like, I one of the things I love about summer, there's no drop off and pick up.
Yeah.
There's no, I don't have to set the alarm. Me and my son both love that. Like, you should be, if you don't have to go wait in that pickup line, get to school early, like, you're not looking forward to that. Like, I don't know
Yeah.
what's going on here. Like, there are also really good opportunities. And so, like, okay, yes, your baby is not a baby anymore. There are lots of thoughts and think, get you a journal,
Mm-hmm.
connect to a therapist, talk about those things because they're real things. Talk to other moms who are going through it. And also, now you get to pay attention to yourself in a particular way that you
Yeah.
haven't had the space to in years. And like, what is keeping you from doing that,
Yeah. Yeah. What is keeping you from doing it now?
Right.
Right. Like, what is keeping you from doing it right now? From this very moment, you can make a shift and decide, like, I'm going to take care of myself. And I think that, like, me learning through my own therapy, like, that was a lot of my journey, right? Like,
Hmm.
learning to remember that, like, I was a human outside of being someone's wife and being someone's mom.
Yeah.
And so my identity was developed while, like I said before, like while I was also a mom, like I was like kind of forming that. And so I was also challenged with like, what the heck, like, am I gonna do? Like, not when my kids were this age. I started this process a long time ago, but for
Hmm.
me, I'm still working on that identity. Like, I'm always looking for new things to do. I'm always trying to, like, remember parts of myself that like light me up, right?
Yeah.
And I can bring my kids into that. Like I remember doing dance contests and karaoke with my sisters, my
Mm-hmm.
cousins growing up. So we have karaoke. We can have karaoke at home, right? Like
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
can bring that joy into our lives. We can bring that joy into our kids' lives. And that's part of like how we thrive, right? In
Yes.
motherhood beyond postpartum.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And you mentioned before, like so much of it is like us mothering ourselves. And I
Hmm.
think some moms may be taking that to the extreme. Like I
Right.
always say, like, my parents, they were doing their own things when I was growing up. And so, they weren't coming to my games and doing different things. They weren't really around a lot. I spent a lot of time with my grandmother. And so I wanted to be present and do things, but like, I'm not a sports person. I'm not going to every soccer game. And so, like, I think
Period.
sometimes we overdo things that we didn't have, and they might not even be things that our children need. But I think the
Mm,
things that we know that we needed as a child, like you said, we have to do those things and mother those parts of ourselves. So I'm
mm,
going to show up, but I'm not going to show up every time because
yeah.
I may have my own thing that I need to do, or I just might not feel like it because we like different things. And so I think we have to balance, like, instead of trying to project all these things that we wanted as a child on our child, that's an opportunity for us to do that for ourselves. And there are some things, but we don't want to overdo it. A lot of us are overdoing it, which again doesn't give us time for our own stuff.
Yeah, I hear you. Like, we're overdoing it. We're like extra attached. Like,
Yes, we're like
we're going to
we're
spend
like some.
every moment together.
Right, right. And so I think, like I said, I think it is just, mothering ourselves and doing those things. And I think engaging with our kids, there are things we do together, there are things we do separate. Like me and my son just had a ball. He really likes the Knicks. We went into the city, we ate all the things, we did all the things. He went to the parade. Like we had a ball. That was
Right.
fun. And I'm not a city person. I don't want to go over there, but I did and I had a great time. And so I think like I didn't have those experiences with my parents.
Yeah.
Is that something that I want to do every week? No. But like there are moments and pockets where you can get those things in that kind of repairing yourself and also, have fun with your kids. Everything in motherhood can't be all doom and gloom. And if it does feel that way, what part of you aren't you taking care of?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, I think that that's such a great question. And I'm thinking about the mom who doesn't know like what they
Mm,
need, right? And I just shared that I was in therapy and you shared, but I think that like for some people that might have to be the first step, right? To figuring it out, if possible, right? I
yeah.
encourage everybody to go to get therapy
Go,
at some point.
go
Go
to
to
therapy.
therapy.
Go to therapy, y'all. I went the entire time I was pregnant with my son because for the longest time I didn't want children. At that
Right.
time that wasn't like a popular thing. And so
Mhm.
um I just didn't think my parents did a great job. I mean, I'm fabulous, right? But
Mhm.
I didn't think
Period.
they did what they needed to do. So I was like, no, I'm not about that life. But the whole time I was pregnant with him, I went to therapy and I got great support to know that like this is something I can do, um, and I can do it well, and I don't have to. I can take care of myself along the way. So I think therapy is a great start. I think we gotta, I always recommend to my moms. There's a book called Self Care for a Black Woman. It has like I forget how many. It has like a lot of different ideas of hobbies, interests, ways to take care of yourself. Because maybe not for nothing, we're not conditioned to really think about caring for ourselves. So maybe we need some ideas. And
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
what are ways people take care of themselves? What are ways people build community? How are you addressing, your own grief and traumas and stuff? You might need some tools for that. And so like I think, we can't just let everything be a reel or a TikTok. Like we have to really get in there and figure out, okay, what maybe I really don't know what makes me happy. So that means you got to experiment.
Yeah.
You got to try some things. You might go hiking, you might go bowling, you might make a candle. You're not going to like everything, but you'll find your thing by doing things. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Such important like little nuggets in there that you're saying. And I'm gonna ask you this question, but I'm gonna answer it first.
Okay.
Like, I have been trying new things, right?
Hmm.
And I shared yesterday about the bees, but I'll tell a different thing today. So I really wanted to try hiking. So I've been like trying to do one hike a month.
Hmm.
I try to bring my husband because I'm scared, but he's like, "Girl, you're gonna have to start doing this by yourself." And I'm like getting the courage to start to go hiking by myself. But also, I had a big goal last year to read more, and I kept
Hmm.
finding myself um not doing it right last
Hmm.
year, right? I kept being like, oh, I can't sit down and read about, I don't have time, I don't have time, I don't have time. And this year I was like, there are so many other ways to like read books and listen and engage with books. So I was like a snob, like I have to read pages,
Hmm.
and I refuse to get Audible.
I know.
But I have listened to, I think at this point, like 25 books. And like the like it's just so easy because I can do the dishes, I can like drive, and I realized that I was stopping myself
Yes.
from seeking something that was like that brings me joy. Like I love to be enriched in other people's stories. I love to like go into their worlds and fantasy and all that stuff. And I
Love
was
it.
like, I'm stopping for what? Like,
Yes.
you know what I mean?
Let me tell you something. If there wasn't confidentiality and I could have all my clients together, that is the first thing that I tell them. You
Hmm.
know, all of y'all, oh, I want the physical book. You're not reading them. Get the
Yeah.
audio books. Go get a library card. Get Libby. Get Hoopla. You're not reading them. No shade, but you're not reading them.
I hear you.
We sometimes you're right, we don't have time. Put that book on while you're washing the dishes and
Yes.
listen. You know, I read every single day.
Yeah, me too now.
I've
Now it's
always
nice.
been I've been a reader since Babysitters Club. Okay, like
You remember Babysitters Club?
I've
Oh
been a
my
reader
goodness.
since Babysitters Club. The best way you can take care of yourself and get out of your own head is to get in somebody else's mess. So I
Yes.
love that for you. That cause I think you bring up an important point that we hold on to the way we're supposed to do things or the way we think we can do it, and then you're not doing it. And
Yeah.
it's like, just try it. Maybe you do want to read. Maybe it has to look different, you know, maybe you do want to go hiking. Maybe you have to do it in a different way. Maybe you want to go to the gym. You can't go every day. Maybe you can go 2 solid days a week. Just go those 2 days then.
Yeah.
Because I think that is a big one that people just get stuck on how I used to do this or how I think it should be done. And they don't make space for opportunities that like, no, you actually could do that. You just need to do it differently.
You stuck in the coulda, shoulda, coulda, wouldas, right? Like stuck
Right.
in
But
that narrative.
the reading one though, that has everybody in the chokehold. I listen, I haven't when my father died that year, I listened to 100 and like something books.
Yeah.
Okay. I've been, I, when I think when we think about the evolution of books, like we had our physical books, then we got the Kindle. I love the Kindle because I'm a reader of like tons of books at a time.
Hmm.
Then now you talking about audio, I can listen. I got to take the boy to soccer. I got to drive around. Honey, I'm in heaven, you
Yes.
know? And so like, I don't need you to be, like me, but I would gather that you might find a genre that you like, which again opens you up to community
Hmm.
of readers. Now you're looking for different books, you're talking about books, like it gives you something else to do. And I think we have to find those things, and it doesn't, and not be afraid for it to look different.
Yeah. Okay. I hear you. I hear you. And now, what have you done recently in the past year or two that is like new or something that lights you up right now?
Yeah. Well, I know reading is not new, but there's always a new book. So
Yes,
reading
that's true.
always lights me up. I recently I did like a ATV riding with my sorority
Ooh.
sisters in Arizona. I can't say that I'll ever do it again, but it was fun. I can say that I did it. I got very dirty. I'm not into the dirt like that. I like to cook, so I took like a pizza making class and we
That's
made like
fun.
dough and all the sauces, so that was lovely. And then I told you like I feel like, people are the travel people. I'm like the experience girly.
I hear
So with every, when the Knicks were in the playoffs, we were going to different places and trying like Knicks themed foods, and like
you.
we went into the city and took pictures at the different places. And so just trying to be an explorer, try different things. I'm not somebody that likes to go out all the time, but
Yeah.
I'm always telling my clients, experiment, try something. So I do try to do that. So those are like the most recent things that I think that brought me. Oh, and the other thing is, so, my son, he plays really competitive soccer. So he's going to different colleges and doing things. So I make it a point to, drop him off and go explore the city around
Mm-hmm.
things that I like. So we were just in North Carolina. I went to like different bookstores and just dilly dallied around, girl. I like coffee. I'll maybe find a coffee shop. And so those are things that, those might not be necessarily new things, but when I'm in a new place, I do try to like explore and just find stuff. You'll be never
Yeah.
be surprised.
Get outside. I love it. And explore and experience. Experience is the word that stuck with me.
Yeah.
Experience life,
And
right?
they don't have to be expensive. They
Mm,
really don't, because again, I know this economy, but like there are lots of free things. You can walk in a bookstore and not buy anything. You could just go look
mm.
around. You can get a library card. You can, get you a ticket into the train and into the city and go just
Wander.
do something, go wander,
Yeah.
and I think that's the part, I feel like I definitely have that wanderer spirit, and I think, some of us need to bring that back. It's, and there are lots of things that can kill that and take it away, and I think we just have to get creative and really really try to bring that back, because that's what's gonna save us,
Yeah. I love it. I love it. My final question is for you is what would you want every mother to know if she's feeling overwhelmed or anxious or unlike herself years after birth, after the postpartum period when when postpartum is supposed to have ended and
Hmm.
you're supposed to be happy now because like your kid's 3 and what
Hmm.
advice or what would you say could be just a simple statement.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, if you're overwhelmed, like you're not alone. And that is a sign that, you need to do something to take care of you. You need to get back to you. You can get out of that. We all, you're not alone. It's something we all experience. And that is like a warning sign. That's your like check engine sign that,
Hmm.
hey girl, you gotta do something for you, even if it's teeny tiny. Maybe you're in the thick of 3 under 3, go pick out a nice coffee mug and make you a coffee.
Yeah.
Go step outside on your porch. Like, there are overwhelming parts and there are really joyful parts, but you got to start here. That if you're feeling that way, there's something missing, some support that you're missing. If you don't have support, some way you got to get creative to tap in the village around you and to take care of yourself. And so, we think of self-care and you know, find hobbies as these big elaborate things. And I always say when it feels really big like that, make it smaller. Make
Hmm.
it very small. Like I said, a cup of coffee, a meal that you like. What's one thing you can make just a little bit easier for yourself? And start there, because if you make it so big, you're never gonna do it.
Yeah, yeah. There's joy in the glimmers. There
Hmm.
is joy in the everyday and in the present moment. I share with someone, and this is just kind of piggybacking off what you were saying, and she was like, I don't know what to do. And I was like, well, what did you used to do like when you were younger? Like that was like really fun, like, and you used to do by yourself. And she was like, I would sing in the shower. And I was
Hmm.
like, so sing in the shower. She's like, oh, what if the baby like wakes up and like like I'm like, girl, like you just put the shower on extra high and just it doesn't need to be screamed to the top of your lungs if the baby's literally right there. But that is something that is like so small, right? You
So
shower
small.
every day.
Hmm.
So sing in the shower, like nobody's gonna hear you.
Yeah, yeah. And to that point, I like to say you got to get creative. I will never forget when my sister, my nephew was little. She used to read out loud to him books that she could be reading, like, I don't know, Game of Thrones, and she's just reading it to him. And I'm like, yo, that is. I used to think, like, at first I thought it was weird, but then I was like, that's so smart. When I
Mhm.
think of habit stacking, if you got to
Yeah.
be there holding the baby and you're stuck. and you want to read to them, go ahead and read your books,
Yes.
figure out creative ways. We got to feed these children, we got to go to these places. If you got to take the kids to sports, go walk around the track, take your audiobook, take your coloring book with you. How do you not make caring for yourself, doing things that really just help calm you down, ease some of that overwhelm? We got to do it, get it in where we fit in, and I think we can't be afraid to, similar to what you said, switching from physical to audiobooks, make a modification. If what you have is not a lot of support and that's why you're overwhelmed, okay, how can you support yourself in little pockets so you can take care of yourself?
Yeah, yeah. Such great points. And the last thing that I'll say is in terms of when you are feeling stressed or overwhelmed, we talked a lot about support and
Mhm.
what that looks like. But it also means getting and having resources as well to support you in that, right? So
Mhm.
we talked about a therapist, but like check in with your nutritionist, check in,
Mhm.
get your blood work checked, and ask for a full panel because they don't
Mhm.
often include the things that we need to help us understand how maybe impacted our mental health. For Black women, that's like vitamin D and magnesium, and like those are things that
That
we
I
really,
that
and the
iron,
iron.
yes. Mm-hmm.
You will be tired, right? Like you
Yes,
will be
yes,
okay, you'll be
yes.
sleep. So
Mm-hmm.
like gathering and having access to those resources, that all comes from maybe gaining support, right? And people sharing, but also seek that information out
Yes.
yourself. Seek that information out. We talked about support, we talked about finding a village, getting creative, seeking joy, and also getting resources is so so important. So you're a resource, right? Right here, chatting in this conversation. You do a lot of work with Black women and moms in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me a little bit about, or share a little bit of information about the resources that you have for moms and how they can get connected.
Yeah, so we have clinicians here that we're licensed in New Jersey and in New York too. So therapy is also an option. Um, a lot of the pages that we follow are, like I mentioned, the Black Girl Walking Club, there are book clubs. There are lots of ways for people to get connected online and offline. So I would encourage you, if you're looking for ideas, I often post like books that I'm reading that I think that you might want to check out. We have our affirmation and activations deck that has like ideas and ways that you can care for yourself. Very simple. If you're just looking for like one or two things to do, that's a great way to ground and take care of yourself. I also, similar to what you mentioned, resource wise, I encourage women to look into their EAP programs at their jobs. Like a lot of
That's a
moms are
good
missing
one.
opportunities for free therapy sessions, free a lot of things. Do you need to take a paid leave? What is your for your mental health? A lot of us, that's
Mhm.
one of the most underutilized resources for Black professional women, and I think that is highway robbery. Like I'm never going to tell a client that I'm not going to write that note for them or whatever they need, because do you need an accommodation? Are you taking mental health days regularly? I think take it on a Wednesday when the kids are in daycare, camp, school, whatever. Are you planning rhythms of, yes, this is a busy season at work or whatever, and I'm going to rest? Or do
Mm.
so I think using the things that you have, because a lot of us are sitting on, benefits and things we're not using that could be supportive. Really also, I encourage moms to look at like the actual cost of things and think about like, are you just saying that that's out of your league, or could you
Mhm.
actually, do the wash and fold? My favorite thing is get the housekeeper. We don't have time. We don't have
Mhm.
time. You come into a clean space, you just feel better. Like, I'm sure we could figure some things out. And so I think, taking opportunities to really look at what you're working with and get creative and see what's out there. There are lots of different swaps and exchanges. And so I think don't be afraid to get creative to get the support that you need. When I think about a soft life, like I said, it doesn't have to be this big crazy thing. It could literally be, hey, maybe you're going to Costco and getting that rotisserie chicken and just making some easy vegetables. Like, how can you make your meals super easy?
Mm-hmm.
Or, what, just something for you. Maybe you drink your water out of a fancy cup. And so I think there are bigger resources, and there are like really small ways that and things that I think we miss. And so, just things that make sense for your life to make it easier. If this is the life that you have to live, what is something that's going to make it a little easier, a little bit, and bring a little bit more joy and laughter? Like, we're all
Laughter.
so serious.
Yeah, smile more. One of the words that I'm taking away with me from what you just said is finding your rhythm. I
Hmm.
think that there's so much like we need to do this, we need to do that from all the areas, right? And I think it's good to have that information, but also you have to find your rhythm
Yeah.
that works for you, your system, your whatever you want to call it, because that's where the balance and the harmony comes from once you have that rhythm. So
Hmm.
I appreciate that as like a sticking point for me.
Yeah,
As a
I
good
love
sticking
that.
point, yes.
Yeah, and I think the great thing about finding your rhythm, and now that you say that, and I think about like how I move about the world, and I think the once you find it, if it needs to be modified because little things are happening here and there, it's very easy.
Mhm,
I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna have coffee, I'm gonna have my devotional time. At the end of the day, I'm gonna read. The length of time may vary every day, but there's certain
mhm.
things, I'm gonna typically do. And so you do need that rhythm of your life. Oh my goodness. Especially
Yeah.
as a mom, because there's always gonna be curveballs for these
Listen,
children. There's gonna be the project at 7 p.m., the extra practice, the game that's 2 hours
the
away,
thing you forgot because they didn't tell you the project. Like, oh, I got a bake sale tomorrow. Okay, what?
What? Right. And so I think, once those things happen, I always tell moms, have those things in your toolkit that will bring you back to center, because
Yeah.
those things are always going to happen.
Hmm.
Okay. Um,
There we go.
okay. If you have a day that's like that, you got to have your things that just kind of bring you back and settle it, because inherently, as moms, as women, we're going to have those days. But yeah, find your rhythm. I like that. That's a
Yes.
good one.
Oh my gosh, such a good combo. Just like last time,
I know.
I enjoyed talking with you. I mean, I could keep going, but I'm like, I gotta eat dinner,
Mhm.
and go for my nightly walk because that's a joy for me.
Yes.
That's a
Well,
joy
thank
for
you
me.
so much for
Of
having me. It's
course,
always a pleasure. And, maybe I'm gonna have to join you on one of these hikes. I'm always afraid I'm gonna get lost, but if I will, we get lost together. We
we
can
can do it
figure it out. We
together.
can figure it out.
We will
I'm
figure
sure
it
we can figure
out.
it out.
We're just gonna
Yeah.
go and do it.
Go and
Yes.
do it. Yes.
All
Invite
right.
me. I would love to come.
Okay. Well, that's a date. I will. I'm taking you up on it, and you have a good rest of your night.
Yes, you too.
All
Thank you
right.
guys for joining
Bye.
us. Bye bye.
Thank you.